Hello, and welcome to another Merry Musing. We're on week 4, and one of my favorite stories, one of the most human moments for the Holy Family that we get the privilege of witnessing. So, this week we hear in Luke chapter 2 about the Holy Family visiting Jerusalem and on their journey home, realizing that Jesus has been lost. And when they finally discover him preaching in the temple and sitting among the wise men, Mary says these words: "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been looking for you with great anxiety." I love to see this moment from a parental perspective, but a parental perspective unlike mine because she has no sin. The commentary that I refer to, which is the Collegeville commentary, points out that the next time we will see Jesus in Jerusalem, in the temple, or near the temple, in the Gospel of Luke, is at Passover, when he enters Jerusalem as the King of the Jews, and when people are bowing before him. But soon he is the Passover lamb, and he is sacrificed there. And the commentary also points out that at that point, too, he is lost for 3 days in a way until he rises victoriously. And what a beautiful parallel of this moment in his young life as a 12-year-old, and then that final journey he has to the cross. Right before this moment, Simeon has prophesied to Mary that a sword will pierce her heart, that she will experience deep grief because of this role that she has. And right after it, she has a chance to experience just a moment of that when she loses Jesus and thankfully finds him again. But still, this difficult moment of anxiety. She even says the word anxiety in parenthood. And here it's already fulfilled for her, Simeon's prophecy, that this will be a hard life with this boy. Two phrases from this I want to point out are to us, that the first thing she asks of Jesus when they find him is, "Why did you do this to us?" And of course, this being in the temple, being where he is not something he does to his parents, but something he's doing for his heavenly Father. And I think that in and of itself is a sword piercing her heart, that his life is not going to be dedicated to his human family. And we'll see that over and over again, that he has to be dedicated to the world, to the salvation of the world. And he has a big plan to fulfill. A second phrase is great anxiety. Mary is without sin, and if you want to know more about that, you can look back at the Prezi I sent out on Thursday. But she's not immune to this fallen world full of worries and anxieties and fears and sadness. And I think this is a good reminder that just having anxiety over something is not a sin, because Mary, the mother of God herself, the perfect vessel, she says, "You've caused us great anxiety." But what's beautiful here is that Christ is right there, even as his little preteen self, to turn her mind back to the ultimate plan of God. The one that says, you're not meant to be worrying about that because I have big work to do. And again, that must be hard for her to hear and start to ponder in her heart, which we hear right after this, what that big work is really going to look like. But I just love this beautiful human moment where Mary shows us, how we all might react to something like this, that we feel like it's something done to us, and that we can admit that we have great anxiety over these plans. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to pause it real fast. And we're back. So the 2-word phrase that I thought of for today's lesson is sinless humanity. I'm going to sneeze. Speaking of humanity, humans sneeze. Anyway, the phrase for today is sinless humanity. And I want to emphasize the humanity, which is why I put it in all caps there. We often think of Mary's sinlessness, and that is true. She was sinless because she was going to be the vessel for the Lord and because of God's goodness to her, not by her own merit, but because she was full of grace. But what's I think is so beautiful is to focus on her being a sinless human, to look at the humanity she experienced through a sinless lens. And that can be a model for us. We're not going to make it through this life without sin, but we see her acting fully as a human. Of course, Jesus is a model for us, but he was both divine and human, something that is such a big mystery for us to comprehend. And Mary is here sinless, but also fully human, not divine. Blessed by God for sure, but not divine. And so we see these moments of anxiety, these questions brought up for her, these things that she wrestles with. And I think those are the moments that turn her into the mother we have now. She had to experience this life with Christ for her to truly become this wise mother that we can turn to. So, my question for you and for myself, this is a really hard one, is instead of asking, why have you done this to me of the Lord, what question might you learn to ask? If it's not, why are you doing this to me? Which is something I think we all tend to be tempted to ask, at least in our hearts. What could we ask instead? I'd love to know what you think. Maybe I'll be asking your questions instead of this one to myself. So please feel free to respond by email, to leave a comment. I love to hear from you, and I hope you have a very blessed day.